Jesus Goes to Hogwarts, Chapter 3. Author's note, aside from the disclaimer that was in the other one. P.S. I took the Mary Sue litmus test, and this story only scored a 7, so you Mary Sue people can go choke on a polar bear tongue. P.S. Those of you who think Jesus never lost his temper are advised to read Mark more thoroughly. P.S. Chapter 4 will be up within a week or two. I can't wait to get Jesus in his classes already. Thanks for reading, guys. Stupid fucking happy face. Oh shit, I closed the window. Sorry. The hippopotami hustled Jesus along Knockturn Alley, roughly shoving aside the leering, dark-robed witches and wizards that stood in their way. Jesus was wondering if he should try to make a break for it when suddenly Diagon Alley opened up in front of them. Relief flooded through him. He was safe! The hippopotami released Jesus' elbows and jumped back as a familiar figure rushed through the crowd. "What in the ruddy hell do you think you're doing?" Hagrid roared. Still a terrible fucking accent. Jesus and the hippopotami winced. "We were escorting the young Messiah back to safety." Safety? Safety! That's my fault. The hippo leader said stiffly, "He wandered into Knockturn Alley. He was lucky we found him." Hagrid turned his glare on Jesus. "Why were you wandering around then?" "I was looking for you, and I got lost, and there was this boy talking about the Never mind, let's get you back to the pub," Hagrid said, tugging Jesus away from the affronted hippopotami. "Dumbledore called them to take you to Hogwarts Express tomorrow," Hagrid whispered gruffly. "Don't trust 'em, though. Nutters through and through, and the less you have to do with them, the better. Got your owl, by the way." My god, it's actually written like that. Eyes twinkling, he held up a large cage containing one ruffled eagle owl. Is that really a thing? Anyway. "Oh, wow, thanks," Jesus gasped. "I didn't even notice him." The sun was low in the sky by the time Hagrid and Jesus made it back to the leaky cauldron. The owl, christened Jeremiah, promptly fell asleep when Jesus placed its cage at the foot of his bed. When Jesus went down for dinner, he found Hagrid seated next to a young purple-robed witch. Hello," Jesus said, pulling up a chair. "Hello, Jesus," Hagrid said cheerfully. "This here's Jocasta. She's a hippo." His anger towards the hippopotami early seemed to have vanished. Jocasta narrowed her eyes slightly at being called a hippo, but greeted Jesus in a friendly voice. Dinner was excellent. The food was definitely Jesus' favorite part about this strange future land. Over the last week, he'd eaten better than he ever had before. He hoped the quality of Hogwarts meals wouldn't go down when he started eating with the students tomorrow night. Towards the end of dinner, Hagrid excused himself to talk to a friend. Jesus was a little nervous about being left alone with Jocasta. She glanced around to make sure Hagrid wasn't looking and slid closer to him. "I've been waiting for a chance to talk to you alone, Messiah," Jocasta said softly. "I'm afraid we hippopotami have made a rather bad impression on you earlier this evening." "That's okay," Jesus said vaguely, concentrating on his pudding. Jocasta smiled. "We aren't really as crazy as we look. We were hot on the trail of a suspected Death Eater when we saw you in Knockturn Alley." "A Death Eater?" Jesus asked blankly. "Shh," she whispered, glancing furtively around the nearby wizards. "A Death Eater is what you would call a Satanist, and what we would call a lizard?" "A lizard." "Okay." "Oh," Jesus said, setting down his spoon and staring gloomily at his plate. He had lost his appetite. "You see, Messiah, we hippopotami—" Seriously, hippopotami, I'm trying not to laugh. "Have been around a long, long time. So has the Dark Lord. Over the millennia, he has taken many names, and the earliest of those is Sobek, the crocodile god. His followers were called lizards because they worship the crocodiles." "Okay." "Our leader, the great hippopotamus, led us in a fight against Sobek this many years ago. He died in battle, and Sobek was sent back to hell. But again and again he's re-emerged. In your time as Satan, in ours as Voldemort." "I see." "We believe that you are the great hippopotamus, the great hippopotamus reincarnated." Sorry. "You are the only hope of stopping the Dark Lord. There's no one but you in this world pure enough to fight him, not even the Christians." "What on earth is a Christian?" Jocasta clapped a hand to her mouth. Oh, forget I said that. Anyways, you need your sleep for tomorrow. We'll pick you up in the main room tomorrow morning. What about Hagrid? Didn't he tell you he'll be fluing back to Hogsmeade tonight? He can't ride the train. It's not traditional. Okay, good night then. Jocasta smiled and waved as Jesus shuffled over to Hagrid and said his goodbyes. He felt abandoned, though he knew it would only be for one night. As he lay in bed, the events of the day roared through his head, a jumble of crocodiles, owls, creepy boys, and wizards with ridiculous, idiotic hats. It was a long time before he fell asleep. Next chapter. Okay, here we go. Author's note. Okay, I've been going through some very tough times, friends. Some people have said some very mean things to me, and I'm kind of down in the dumps. I was so sad I thought maybe I would never ever write again. But like the phoenix, I rise from the ashes of your scorn and mean things you've said. Anyways, please be nice to me, okay? Because I'm sad, and please don't hurt my feelings because I'm very sensitive, stupid fucking smiley face. I think this chapter was inspired mostly by Linkin Park's beautiful and moving, profound songs. Cool. That have helped me through some of the hard places because only they describe how I truly feel and the depths of pain in my dark soul. Oh, stupid fucking happy face. Double disclaimer. It's the same disclaimer from before. P.S. Those of you who think Jesus never lost his temper are advised to read Mark more thoroughly. We had to put that back in. Jesus sprang out of his bed before the sun had fully risen. He was queasy with excitement. Somehow the fascinating spell books and school supplies purchased yesterday had migrated to every corner of his room, and even with his head start he was late to breakfast. The morning passed in a blur. Before Jesus knew it, he was helping two stern-faced wizards heave his hastily packed trunk through the boot of a sleek purple car. Just say trunk. Despite her promise, Jocasta was nowhere to be seen, and the journey to King's Cross was spent in an uncomfortable silence. Jesus was relieved when they finally reached the station. Jocasta was waiting for him in front of the platforms, bouncing up and down on her heels. Oh, Jesus, so sorry I missed you at the Leaky Cauldron. I was, called away. Well, let's go. She seized Jesus by the shoulder and towed him through the crowd to a barrier. Jesus stared in bewilderment. Jocasta, what? Just run straight at it. Don't close your eyes. Don't worry, this is the most important part. Now go, no one's looking. Nervous but trusting, Jesus obeyed. To his astonishment, he didn't crash. He opened his eyes and stared about in amazement. A scarlet train was sitting before him, puffing smoke, and a crowd of excited young people was milling about, clutching all sorts of strange things. Owls hooted, cats yowled, and children shouted. Jocasta appeared behind Jesus, beaming, and led him to the train. Jesus glanced about nervously. It seemed to him that quite a few people in the crowd were pointing at the two of them and whispering, but this was probably just because of Jocasta's hat. A family of red-headed witches and wizards was standing on the platform, arguing loudly. The youngest boy had a smudge on his nose. Jesus didn't have time to notice much more before he was shoved onto the train. Jocasta helped him stow his trunk, called a quick goodbye, and was off, sprinting down the aisle. Oh, God, I keep burping. Oh, God, there's another one. Ugh. Okay, through the crowds and out of sight. Jesus shook his head and trudged on through the train, searching for an empty compartment. He had no sooner settled himself at the back of the train than the red-haired boy with the smudged nose poked his head through the door. Mind if I sit here? Everywhere else is full, the boy said. Jesus nodded. Sure. The boy sat down across from him and looked out the window. The train hadn't left yet, and the crowd on the platform was still thick. My name's Jesus, by the way, Jesus said. Oh, sorry, I'm Ron. You don't sound like you're from here, Ron said, squinting at Jesus. No, I'm from, Egypt. Wow, Ron said, looking a bit more impressed. My brother works there. Ever been in a pyramid? Oh, no, no one but the nobles are allowed in there. The whats? Ron asked blankly. Fortunately for Jesus, Ron was distracted by the howl of the train's whistle. They were off! The town peeled away behind them, and soon the countryside was rushing past. A witch with a tray of delicious-looking food stopped. Anything off the cart, dears? Ron, who was unwrapping a packet of sandwiches, shook his head. Jesus frowned at him. I'll take some of everything, please, he said, handing the smiling witch several coins from the money purse Hagrid had given him. Ron eyed the pile of candy and pasties Jesus was spreading out over the bench. Hungry, are you? Starving. Want anything? Oh, no, I've got these. Go on, take some. Look, there's all kinds. I think I actually read that backwards. Doesn't matter. The sandwiches ended up sitting in a corner, forgotten, as Jesus and Ron began to work their way through the wizard candies. As Ron was showing Jesus the strange moving portrait on a chocolate frog card, there came a loud knock at the door, and a red-haired boy who looked very much like Ron leaned in. "Hey, Ron, Lee Jordan's got an iguana. Come and look." "No, thanks. I don't really like lizards." "We'll see you later, then." The door banged shut, and Ron returned to unwrapping chocolate frogs. He looked slightly green. "Are you okay?" Jesus asked. "Yeah, fine. It's just lizards give me the willies." "Lizards! Lizards!" The words Jocasta came back to him. "You don't mean your brother's friend is a crocodile worshiper?" "What? No, he's got an iguana. Iguanas are big lizards that people keep as pets. They don't have those in Egypt?" "They don't have much in Egypt. Who's this?" Jesus asked, picking up a chocolate frog card at random, eager to distract Ron. Ron glanced at the card. "Oh, that's just Enoch. I've got about 6 of him. You keep it. Add it to your collection." Jesus tossed the card into the pile he'd already gathered and turned his attention to a bag of every flavor beans. Suddenly the door banged open again. The pale boy from Madame Malkin's was standing there, sneering at Ron and Jesus. "What's this? How'd you pay for all that, Weasley?" Ron flushed. The boy had already turned to Jesus. "You again? I liked you. So here's a bit of advice. Don't want to fall in with the wrong crowd at Hogwarts." He jerked his head at Ron. "I can help you there. My name's Draco Oh, it's Draco Malfoy. Okay. Jesus ignored his outstretched hand. "I think I can tell who's in the wrong crowd, thanks." Malfoy flushed. "Just who do you think you are, anyway?" "I'm Jesus, son of Joseph the Carpenter." Malfoy's eyes widened and he took a step backwards. "I think you'll find you've made a dangerous enemy, Jesus," he snarled. And with that, he turned on his heel and stalked out, slamming the door so hard the glass shook. Ron had forgotten the insult and was staring at Jesus. "What? Are you really Jesus? The Jesus? Well, I told you I was, didn't I? You didn't tell me you were the Jesus." He shifted uncomfortably. "Well, what do you mean, the Jesus? You know, divine powers, snake charmer, all that." "Well, I don't know about divine powers, but once a peddler brought a snake from the wilds and I taught it to sing the—" "Wow, you are him!" Jesus shrugged. "I guess so." He picked up a pale orange every flavor bean and eyed it carefully. "What flavor is this?" Ron frowned. "Looks like pumpkin. Should be safe." Jesus bit into the bean and spat it out immediately. "Ugh, vinegar!" Ron gave a roar of laughter and returned to picking through the every flavor beans. The rest of the trip passed smoothly. The sky outside was growing dim when a very bossy-looking girl with bushy hair banged into their compartment, dragging a round and tearful boy behind her. "Have you seen a toad? Neville's lost his," she snapped, displaying very prominent front teeth. Oh, that's not flattering at all. "No," said Ron sulkily. "You aren't even wearing your regulation school robes yet. We're almost there, you know. I hope you won't give all us first years a bad name on the first day." With a pointed look at Jesus, who was wearing robes as white as the fallen snow, she marched back into the corridor. "She's right. We better get dressed. I hope I'm not in the same house as her." Jesus winced, but said nothing as he shrugged into his black Hogwarts robes. All too soon, the train squealed to a halt, and the nervous first years were headed out onto the platform. Hagrid was waiting for them. He winked at Jesus. "Good to see you, Jesus. First years, everyone here. Good, follow me." I swear it's actually written like this. "We're going to cross the lake in these boats." My God. The first years eyed the flotilla of bobbing rowboats fearfully. "Why can't we go in the carriages?" I'm sorry. I have to do the right voice. "Why can't we go in the carriages?" the bossy girl demanded shrilly. "Tradition! Let's go, no complaining." The journey across the lake was not as awful as Jesus had expected, but it was with relief that he stepped onto the opposite shore. A severe-looking witch with her hair in a tight bun was waiting for them. "Follow me, this way, please." She led them into a hall and told them to wait. She stalked away, leaving the first years to tremble and swap rumors. The bossy girl insisted they had to break some sort of enchantment and was rapidly listing spells she learned. "Fred and George told me you have to fight some kind of monster," Ron whispered. Jesus groaned. Why hadn't he looked at these spell books over more carefully last night? The heavy door creaked open and the stern witch waved to them. "File in single and take a seat," she ordered. Jesus shivered nervously in anticipation as he headed for the door. And that's kind of the end of this, because there aren't any more chapters. I thought it would be a lot funnier, but it's pretty much just the first Harry Potter book. Movie. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, thanks for listening to this. Jesus is a wizard. Cool. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later. This actually went a launder, la 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 la. Fuck. Okay, bye.